Hi, so I thought I'd make this video because I've been answering the same kinds of questions time and time again, and I basically hate writing. So if I can just look at that video, that's great by me because it saves me an awful lot of writing. Now we've been doing a whole series of videos lately on these things. These things are thrown away in the ton, and at the moment they're not properly recycled, actually they're just skipped. There is a growing number of options to recycle them, but it's still not really happening. So this series of videos has actually been about upcycling LCDs and the components of an LCD. Nothing to do with solar. The solar idea is a possibility of what we can use the Fresnel lens for, and there's a ton of research showing the Fresnel lenses can be done in that. But a lot of people have been writing things like, oh, you could do it better if you did this. Well, I mean, that's really true. If I had tens of thousands of pounds to spend on a solar tracking system, then I probably wouldn't be ripping open LCDs to try to see if the Fresnel lens will give me a better performance than the setup that I've already got. 100% true, I wouldn't do that. But that's not the point of it. The point of it is to see what we can do with this kind of stuff, rather than throwing it away. Now, a lot of people write to me saying that they haven't got money to do this and haven't got money to do that, and I really appreciate that. Times are tough. If you don't have a couple of £100,000 to spend here and tens of thousands of pounds to spend there, and you hunt around and find some of this stuff, there is a possibility of you being able to do something. And that is one of the really big points of this series, really. So point one is the series is all about upcycling, getting benefit from trash we would throw away. Point two is about minimum expenditure, not spending a whole lot of money on the latest thing, but what can we squeeze from something that costs us nothing? So solar tracking systems are more efficient, that's very true, they are more efficient, but they're also more expensive. If you don't have the money to spend on it but want an improvement in efficiency, you're going to have to look around. If you look around, it's amazing what you can find just by the things that we are actually throwing away. Now, a lot of people have been raising issues, and there's nothing wrong with raising issues. Problems that come with stuff are great. If you can spot them, then it's great to see the problems. Now, I don't want to be rude here, but seeing the problems actually is a really easy bit. Seeing problems everywhere isn't a challenge at all. There's lots of problems with things. Of course there are. There are problems with heating the solar cell if you're reflecting light on it. Of course there is. But there's no real benefit to anybody to point out a problem. Far harder is to point out a solution to the problem. It's great to see a problem. It's better to see a solution to that problem and share it. That has real benefit. Pointing out a problem doesn't really have benefit. Pointing out a solution to a problem and suggesting ways that we might overcome that at minimum cost, that's a massive help. So if people are looking at this and think, oh, hey, there's a problem with that. Yes, there's a problem with it. Now, what ideas do you have to solve that problem? And there have been some really great suggestions. One thing that actually I find a little disappointing, in fact, is I give pointers to things that should be followed up and watched and thought about. And it's obvious sometimes from the responses that I get that that hasn't been done. So let's take that heat problem, for instance. There's been some great suggestions on that. Ozturk gave a fantastic one. I've yet to try it, but it looks really promising. And his suggestion was to spray it with water. Really simple. I mean, all we've got to do is put a copper pipe above the thing, a few pinholes in, it'll spray some water on. Now, Ozturk reckons that will help with the reflection. It will evaporate and help with the cooling, and because the whole thing's plastic, obviously, it's not going to rot it. If we turn that pressure up a bit, it would also clean the system, which is great. So he made a great suggestion that I'm going to try because I thought it was just fantastic. Somebody else made a suggestion. I apologise because the name has escaped me, so I really do apologise. Suggesting we put cooling fins on the back with copper pipes in the cooling pins. Another great suggestion. This is the kind of stuff that I like. This is the sort of stuff that really helps people because you've seen the problem. You've thought about the problem. You've had a look and you've come up with a solution. How can that be anything but marvellous? So please, just to point out the problem is insufficient. Have a think about it. Now, I was talking about how people don't follow up on things. On the video that I referenced for the Canadian guy, and I found his video and I've posted that in the comments section so you can look at it. Of course he thought about the heat problem. Of course he did. Everybody thinks about the heat problem because it's a known problem. And what he did was he took one of those Fresnel lenses and he bent it over the solar cell, measured the temperature inside with the bend over it, and of course the temperature was massively reduced inside the solar cell setup, but it also reduced the power. But the temperature was reduced by about 50% and the power reduced was about 10%. Fantastic solution, because we've got a lot of Fresnel lenses, so we cut a couple of slats either side, slat at the bottom, wind one around it, and we have our solution. Somebody else said that a problem was it gets dirty. Well, yes, it will get dirty. All solar cells get dirty. In the Atacama Desert, where they have a massive solar cell, they pay people to go around with brushes and brush them off every day because they get dirty. It's not enough to point that out. How would you cure that? Now, Ozturk's suggestion is a great suggestion because, of course, the spray would wash the cell and the Fresnel lens clean. Two solutions in one. How can you lose on something like that? The Canadian guy's solution of putting the tent over it, well, you put a tent over it, a little cap, top and bottom, you're not going to get any much in the way of dirt in there, so it's a brilliant solution. So when you're thinking about problems with things, fantastic. And please do share them. But if you could, it would be great if you also had to think about the solutions, because the solutions are really what's helpful to people, not just highlighting the problem. So there's a number of points that I wanted to make that I felt I was making again and again and again. And there's one final point. Not only are we looking for things that to do with upcycling this thing, and so a lot of the projects are actually about that and not about what they appear to be titled on, there is that idea that experimentation for the sake of experimentation has value in itself. And it does. If you sit and do nothing, you will discover nothing. That's absolutely guaranteed. If you experiment, there is no guarantee you will discover something. That's perfectly true. But you have a higher likelihood of discovering something. You have a chance of discovering something. If you do nothing, you're guaranteed to discover nothing. So experimentation and giving things a go just has value in itself. It gets that old grey matter working. It gets you going down lines you don't even know you're going to go down once you begin to go down them. It really just has intrinsic value just to experiment. Anyway, I thought I would say those things because, like I say, I have been typing this a lot and I thought it had value to say it. So I hope it was of interest and thank you very much for watching.